for coming along. I'm very excited to be coming to you virtually. Obviously, ordinarily, we would be opening the doors to Titchwell and letting you all come in and showing you round. But as that's not possible at the moment, we want to bring the fair to you. Before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name's Kirsty. I've only recently joined the team at Titchwell in the new year, but before working at Titchwell, I worked at some other wedding venues, including a golf club resort in Norfolk, and then down in the south of England for hand-picked hotels, working as a wedding coordinator. So absolutely love weddings. It's a big passion of mine, which came from doing theatre and drama, which is what I did at uni. And I thought, after doing theatre productions, what's more of a production than a wedding? They are productions, all of the work that goes into it, culminating in a big show with a big audience that's got to go right on the night. So that's what drew me to weddings. I've also had my own small events business running children's parties, and that usually involved me dressing up as a Disney princess, which was very cool. Yeah, it was brilliant dressing up as all my favourite princesses as well. So I'm a bit of a Disney freak. So if anyone is going to be planning a Disney wedding, do let me know. I'll be very, very excited. So here we are at Titchwell Manor. So anyone who's not been before, this will give you an idea of the venue and the event spaces. Let's just get that maximized and then we can crack on. There we go. Excellent. So you can see how close we are to the coast. You can almost see the coastline there, and the bedrooms, obviously a little bit higher up, you do get some sea views, which is beautiful. And you can head down there to the beach for your wedding photographs, which Richard will tell you about as well later. And you'll get some fantastic, unique shots. But to go to the hotel, here we are. So Eric might mention a little bit later, but Titchwell is was a Victorian farmhouse that's been lovingly restored by Eric and his family to the beautiful 4-star boutique hotel that it is today. So coming through to the entrance, you have got instantly these beautiful 19th century characteristics here as we come into reception area. So this is where all of your guests will come in, they'll check in with the staff, go to their rooms, unpack perhaps, or if they are coming just for the wedding day, they could perhaps come into one of our lounges here, perhaps have a drink, sit down, have a chat and get ready for the ceremony. So let's just see, oh, someone's on the chat. Oh, where have I gone? So yeah, so all of your guests will arrive, will come in here. The registrars, if you're having a registrar, again, will come through and chat to the groom. Usually the bride, you'll probably still be getting ready in your room or probably doing a couple of circuits outside the hotel in your wedding car. And then once the groom and all of the wedding guests are seated ready for the ceremony, that's when we will give the bride a call to make sure that she's happy and that you're ready to come down for your ceremony. So we'll come get you from your bedroom, we'll greet you at the door and get you in for your ceremony. So usually our ceremonies take place in the conservatory or outside, and I will show you both. So coming through here, we've got the coffee lounge. So a really nice extra added space. Some couples can choose to pop their wedding cake on here, maybe some family photographs, but I'm sure Amy will also tell you some other ideas about what you can do with this space, maybe some other things that couples have done. But it is a nice added space that also kind of separates your end of the hotel for your wedding and the sort of public side as well. So that's like a nice separating there. Coming through to the garden room, already you've got the light streaming in through, so it's really bright, light and airy. and I'll take you through to the conservatory. So, oh, here is our beautiful conservatory, which is absolutely ideal for ceremonies, your wedding breakfast, whether that's a meal, whether that's an afternoon tea, is absolutely perfect. We can do up to 85 in here, and the adjoining garden room. And just speaking about the ceremony side, usually your registrar will go here at the end. So you would have your registrar table, maybe some nice something on top of the registrar table, floral arrangement. You can have a beautiful backdrop behind here, which Amy from the Backdrop Boutique will be telling us all about the different options there. And then your seats facing that way as the bride comes in for her walk down the aisle. So if you are preferring an outdoor ceremony, I'll just take you outside. So, oh, there we go. So we can do outdoor ceremonies, which obviously weather dependent. So when applying to do an outside ceremony, you need to apply for something called a duo license with your registrar. And that just means that you can get married outside and then you just pop back inside to the conservatory and sign your license. So it's all legal on the day. In regards to the ceremony, you can face down here at the end of the garden or in between these two hedges, which a lot of couples choose as it's a nice frame. And then you are surrounded by beautiful flowers and foliage, and with the conservatory behind you. If you have got married in the conservatory, but you still want to utilize outside, then it's a perfect place for your reception drinks. So after your ceremony, you've either walked back down the aisle outside or outside the conservatory. All of your guests have thrown confetti at you, and then our team will serve you some drinks. So you can have your bubbly out here on the terrace, or whether you would choose to have Pimm's, cocktails, bottled beer, whatever you would like to have, and your canapes as well. So you can enjoy all of that outside, hopefully in the sunshine. Going back to inside, hopefully. And also, while your guests are all happy outside on the terrace having drinks and having canapes, yourself, so the bride and groom, you can then head off and go have your photographs, whether that's down at the beach or around the hotel. Your guests are happy, they've got the drink in hand, they've got some nibbles, so they're happy while you head off and have those photographs taken. So heading back inside to the conservatory, and I'll speak a little bit about your meals. I will also mention that we do have draping that comes down here, so that there's not a greenhouse effect if it's a hot day. It keeps you all nice and cool, and there's no glare if it's a nice bright sunny day. Also, the fairy lights stay up all year round, so that's an added bit of sparkle that you don't have to worry about. And other than that, you don't really need too much decoration. Maybe some flowers here and there, a nice backdrop at the back. But the room's already stunning and sparkly and light, so you don't really need too much, which is really nice. In regards to your meal, usually your top table can go along this back wall, which is nice and long for that traditional long top table. But also some people are choosing to do a round top table. So for example here, so you could perhaps sit round one side of the table, and then almost as if you've removed two seats here away. So you are kind of sitting top table style, but it's more informal. You're not going to be leaning down trying to talk to everybody. You're going to be able to talk to people in your circle, but you can still look out and see all of your guests. So it's a nice informal version instead of the long top table. And then of course all of your guests, whether you've got lots more, they can go into the garden room as well, and spill out there. We provide all of the chairs, the tables, the linens, crockery, cutlery, utensils. So yeah, you just need to bring your guests and any decorations that you would like. I'll take us down to the eating rooms and bar. So going back through the hotel, past the lounges, which of course, if the weather isn't on your side, then you have got these beautiful lounges to enjoy your reception drinks. The yellow sofa is definitely a favourite for photographs. Again, Richard will tell you some more about these great shots that you can get here. So coming through, again, you've got another lounge, which is a great place to relax while your evening reception is happening in the adjoining eating rooms. So you've got a gorgeous long bar here. So you're not going to be standing around too long waiting for drinks because you've got a great big bar. This is our eating rooms. So imagine all of the furniture cleared, your band or DJ in one of the corners here, and then obviously your dance floor right here, ready for your evening reception or party. So, and then you've obviously got the adjoining lounge here for, you know, the guests that want to sit and have a little chat while the party's going on, while lots of dancing is happening. You can have your evening reception in the conservatory if you would like. You would just need to allow for some time to change the room around from the meal to the evening. Unless you are a smaller wedding, so perhaps 40 people or less, then we might not have to do that. So I would just, if that's something you would like, just talk to myself or Amy, and then we'll let you know what we can do with that. But it is nice to come down to the eating rooms for your evening reception. It's nice to give your guests a change of scenery. You would have been down in the conservatory all day, so it's nice to come down here and change it up. And of course, you've got the bar as well, which is nice. And we have a great mixologist at the hotel who loves creating bespoke cocktails. So if you would like to create a his and hers bride and groom cocktail, see what is the most popular throughout the evening, or perhaps just a wedding cocktail, then that's something we can do. We've also got this adjoining terrace. So you know what it's like when you're at a party, you're dancing away, you get a bit hot, you want to come outside for a breath of fresh air, and you've got the adjoining terrace here. You can have your drinks out here, you can spill out, have a chat while you're still involved in the wedding. Obviously, if you're the bride and groom, you don't want to lose your guests from going to different parts of the hotel, so it's nice that everyone's sort of kept contained in a way. You're not going to lose atmosphere from them going to different parts of the hotel. So that is the hotel itself. I will just show you some bedrooms as well. So the bedrooms go round the corner here. Just checking how we are for time. So I will show you one of our bedrooms and then I will move on because I think I've already talked too much and I'm eating into Richard's time. So I'll just show you number 19, which is a popular one for our bridal couples. So this is one of the favourites for the bride and groom because it's detached, it sits on its own, there's nobody next door. It's also got a beautiful roll top bath. There is a bathroom around the corner with a shower as well. This is also dog friendly. We have lots of different rooms at the hotel, some with hot tubs. We're building some shepherd's huts this year. So they're going to be some luxury cabins with their own hot tubs. Yeah, we've got twins, accessible rooms, interconnecting rooms. So something there for all of your wedding guests. And we'll have 28 in total. So sleeping about 56 guests plus children.
So first of all, Richard, it's lovely to have you on board today, and thank you so much for joining us. You've obviously been at the hotel a couple of times now, haven't you? And you've done previous wedding fairs with us as well, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. I've done a couple of wedding fairs, a few weddings, and an event that we had on as well, just to obviously capture some moments for you.
Lovely. So tell us about your experience and in the business as well.
Okay, so basically my background is actually listening to Kirsty. It was quite similar to Kirsty's. So I started off in the entertainment business with an 80s tribute band, hence the hair, sorry. And that sort of formulated into doing a Steps tribute band. And that was probably one of the best jobs I ever had until I became a wedding photographer. And the thing with touring around is that I was the only one that had the camera with me, so I was documenting everything. So that's where my love of photography came from, just being able to be creative on the stage, but also capture those moments for everybody to sort of relive again later on. And I just absolutely fell in love with taking pictures and making people smile, and just obviously when they're looking back at these memories, it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's basically where I sort of started from, and then it's just the wedding photography came along, and I started off doing baby shoots and things like that, and it's just like I needed a lot of time and patience for that. Whereas the weddings, I could really, I could treat them as if they were actually a show itself. So I could actually be involved. I could play my part of making people smile. And the most important part of it is just to completely relax the couple, make sure that they are totally happy and relaxed. And obviously people buy people. So the more you try to get to know them, the better they'll feel about you. And it's just nice to be able to have that sort of rapport with them and stuff, which is
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, I always do a pre-wedding shoot as well with every single package that I offer. There's always a pre-wedding shoot that comes with that, which I find for me is the most important part of getting to know the couple. They can get to know me as well. It's a real icebreaker, and it's literally just like a Sunday stroll in one of their favourite parts of Norfolk, if they're getting married in Norfolk or wherever they're going to be. And it's just nice to be able to spend a bit of time with them. The awkwardness soon sort of dissolves because they're sort of, you know, they're not really used to being in front of the camera sometimes.
Yeah.
And a lot of my couples are like, oh, we you know, we're not really photogenic. We don't really like having pictures taken. So it's trying to overcome those obstacles.
No, of course, it's important.
Exactly, and just trying to get to know them really, and just be, you know, make sure that they think of me as like a friend, and you know, I don't want to take bad pictures of them because it's my job to make sure that they feel comfortable and relaxed and they have some lovely pictures. So I want to sort of do right by them really. So that's sort of my ethics.
What you do. That's cool. And what about with your couples? What kind of services do you offer, and what's your booking process if they do want to book?
Okay, so the booking process is, I've tried to simplify this as best as possible, and everything is online. So I've got a contact page on the website. And what you do is you first make an inquiry by just obviously submitting the date and things like that. And if I'm free, I can then come back to you, and we can arrange like a Zoom meeting like this, so I can chat, or, you know, when obviously it's legal to be able to sort of meet up properly. I much prefer meeting people face to face. So I really like to... Oh, without a doubt. I mean, this is lovely because it's really interactive, but being able to see somebody face to face and interact with them, and it goes a long way to building another rapport with them as well. So it's and building that trust with somebody. So yeah, the booking process is easy. Basically, that I've got two main packages which are on the website, which is like an 8-hour-ish. I always say ish because things never usually run on time, and I always like to stay a little bit longer just to make sure that I capture every part of their day. And then there's like the all-day package, which is literally from start to finish. So that'll be from me turning up with the makeup artist and the hair, capturing all those little moments, the flowers, the dress, then going over to the grooms, having that banter with them as well, and sort of getting to know the other grooms, because obviously I've not met them before, and then coming back to you know, capture the rest of the day, and then staying usually until about 2.5 hours after first dance, so that people in the evening reception guests, can also be a part of the day, and I can capture them as well. And obviously there's a little bit of alcohol flowing as well, so people lose their inhibitions, and it's just a little bit crazy. The dance floor shots I absolutely love capturing as well. So
they're your favourites, or do you have a particular favourite?
Some of my favourite. they are some of the most interesting ones.
How long before a wedding should your couple kind of book their photographer?
Well, I mean, to be fair, after the last year, I've had couples come in literally 6 weeks before their wedding.
Wow.
But if you do your research and you find a photographer that you really, really like the look of, and you can get on with them, and you sort of like, you know, you really gel with them, then there's no harm in booking them up straight away, because if they've got the date free, more than likely it will go quite soon, because people are quite, you know, they like to plan in advance. I've had a couple that tried to book me 4 years in advance.
Oh
And usually, I know, usually I'll open my books around about 2 years beforehand, but I said to them, come back next year, and just sort of, you know, I'll pencil in the date just to make sure that nobody else can take it and they get first refusal. But it's just nice that people are really wanting to plan their wedding and make sure they've got the suppliers. And I think because of being online and all the wedding shows and things like that, people really go to town on doing their research now and make sure that they've got the suppliers that they really love. And, you know, word of mouth is such a huge compliment to any supplier. And it's really nice to be able to be wanted by these people. So yeah, I'd say earlier the better, just to make sure that they can save the date for you.
That's good. And obviously you've been, like I said, at the hotel a few times now. Is there any particular favourite spots for kind of photos at the hotel or nearby that stands out for you, or any particular favourites from when you were here before?
The thing I love, and it sounds like I'm sort of really brown-nosing the hotel, but I'm not. The thing I love about Titchwell is that every single place that you look at is picture perfect. It's wonderful. So just down the road, you've got Brancaster Beach. You can take the couples down to Brancaster Beach straight after the ceremony for 20 minutes or so. It's lovely. I think the main thing you need to do is do your research for every wedding venue. Before I started photographing at Titchwell, I came along, and I think it was Eric's dad that I met, and I asked him a few questions about everywhere, and he was the one that told me about the Brancaster, how to get down there and stuff. And just have a look around the place just to make sure that you know exactly where you are. I mean, obviously you guys have been amazing because you can sort of guide me around a bit, but it's just really nice to get a feel for the place as well. So any new venue, I'll always go and do a recce first of all. But some of my favourites, obviously the yellow sofa is amazing because obviously with the sunset and everything as well.
Famous yellow sofa, it's always good.
It's awesome. When I first went in there, I was like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Do you find it's helpful as well that if the weather's not too great, that you can do photos in that area as well?
Yes, exactly. I think Amy, who's talking later from Backdrop Boutique, she set the backdrop up in one of in the bar area. And so we did literally all of the group shots in there for one of them. It was like, it was a December time, so it was a dark, by the time we got to the group shots, it was quite dark. We couldn't do them outside. So we got that, I just put a wide angle lens on, a couple of flashes, and just got them in that room against the backdrop, and it was lovely. But this one here is probably one of my favorite ones because when doing the wedding prep in the morning, I just noticed those amazing corridors with that fantastic teal blue color wall. And I just said to the couple, let's just go upstairs and get a couple of these, and just trying to make them laugh. And it's just so natural that these two are just having a laugh with each other. And that's exactly what I want to capture. It's not the posing, it's the spontaneous laughter that comes from being a little bit awkward, but just being comfortable in my company as well.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to hand you back over to Kirsty just as a round up and a thank you, as I think we're sorted for everything. And then, yeah, stay on board for the rest of the day.
Of course I will. Thank you.
And we've got Amy. So Amy is our wedding coordinator, and after you've booked the wedding with myself and we've done the contract, we will then pass you over to Amy. So Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience, and how long you've been working at Titchwell.
So yeah, hi everybody, my name's Amy. I've been at Titchwell Manor now for nearly 8 years this year it'll be. So yeah, a bit like part of the furniture now, but it's a wonderful place, a gorgeous venue for weddings. And actually one of my first ever shifts here was doing a wedding for a close family member to the owners. So yeah, thrown in at the deep end, but it was really, really good. And that's where I kind of fell in love with doing weddings really. Yeah, took it from there.
Excellent, great. And tell us a little bit about your role and what it involves with couples throughout the planning process and on the day itself. What do you do for them?
Yep, so as you say, once they've confirmed with yourself, we'll do an introduction between the two of us. And at that point, we would then arrange an appointment where the couples can come and see me, and we would talk about how the day would run. So from start to finish, so if you're staying the day before, we could talk about your plans for what you'd like to do the night before, into the morning itself. So obviously it's always quite nice for the couples to, for the bride to have room service, so she's out of the way, she can relax, doesn't need to worry about anything. Suppliers can come in from 8 o'clock on the day of the wedding, so nice and early again. So if anyone needs an early start, they can come in and get set up, which is always good as well. The conservatory, which you saw earlier, which is actually where I'm sat today, that will be set up for you for the ceremony to take place. And after that point, you would then We would then talk about all your different food options and your drink options and just the timings for the day as well. We find that we would obviously speak to the couples about what works best for them. We can give them recommendations, but predominantly it's about what sort of timings that they would like, and we go from there.
Excellent. Oh, it sounds great. And it's definitely, I think, nice to have you on board throughout the entire planning process and on the day. So
Yep.
all of those little niggly bits that they might have mentioned to you, and why they're important during the planning process, you know, it's not been passed over to someone else that might not know them as well as you know them.
Exactly.
So yeah, you've literally got Amy throughout your process, and as well as the rest of the Titchwell team, who are great, and have all been working at the venue for a long time. Is there a particular flow of the day that works well for you? You know, what time is the ideal ceremony at Titchwell?
Of course. So idle time would be 2 o'clock. Usually we find that gives the couples plenty of time in the morning to get ready. If you've still got guests who need to travel, that still gives them plenty of time to arrive. So 2 o'clock is always a good time for the ceremony. The registrars, they would also arrive a little bit beforehand as well. They will go through all the formalities with the couple. So they would meet one of them first, have a chat with them, and then once that's done, we would then ask everybody to take their seats ready for the ceremony, and then that's when we give the bride a call, and we would one of the team would go and get the bride if she's staying in one of the rooms, and we would then flow from there on, really. So after the ceremony, as you said, Kirsty, you've got the option of going outside for the drinks and canapes. That's also a really, really good time for photo opportunities as well. And also in that time, we would then turn the room around so it's all set ready for the wedding breakfast. When the wedding breakfast is about to go, we would usually invite the couple in first just to come and have a look at the room to make sure that they're happy with how it looks. So again, in the planning stages, we would talk about how they want their tables to look, and also any decorations that they want for the tables and things like that, they would obviously supply, but we put it all out for them. So again, they haven't got that stress or hassle of trying to sort everything out. It also gives those the couples that moment just to themselves, so they can relax for a bit, take it all in, and it's always quite a busy day, so it goes really quick as well. So any chance that they can get together is always quite nice. After the meal, we would, as you say, they'd go through to the bar area. So if you've got any evening guests arriving, we would usually recommend that they come for about 7, 7:30. And the good thing is as well that if you're having your wedding breakfast in the conservatory, it means that your entertainment can be setting up in the bar, and you don't know that that's happened. So when you obviously go through to there later, it's all ready for kind of party time. And then we would say carriages for midnight, and then the bar would close at 1. So you get a good time for everything to take place.
Excellent. Yeah, especially with the bar going on till 1, I can imagine there are definitely some people propping that up still.
Oh yes.
When that time rolls around. Excellent. Thank you so much. What are your top tips? I mean, you mentioned a couple of things about the bride and groom having some time to themselves, but do you have any top tips for couples, not necessarily on the day, but throughout their planning? What would you recommend or advise for them?
So one thing which I do always find is it's always a good idea, because the day itself is so full on, you've always got so many people to try and talk to on the day, that if you can organise a dinner or something the night before, or if you're staying the night before, it makes such a big difference, because you've got everybody here, you've gone around everyone, you've spoken to a few people if you can, and then it just takes that pressure off on the day of the wedding, that you're not trying to get through everyone and talking to everyone and making sure you've spoken to everybody. So that's something which I find really does make such a huge difference. The other thing would be is definitely allocating jobs to family members and friends. So if you've got some people who you want close and to be able to be involved in the wedding, if there's any little bits that need to be done in the morning, definitely allocate those jobs to them so they can be done, and it feels like that they've done their bit as well then.
That's a good idea. And I mean, that's why you have bridesmaids and a maid of honor and ushers. You know, there's more than just helping your bride go to the loo. There's other things they can be helping with, just to make sure that your day runs smoothly. And also, Amy, tell us, what is your favourite thing or favourite things about Titchwell Manor?
It's definitely got to be how personal we are to all our couples. It's something that's always been important to Titchwell. It's a family-run business, so it's, you know, that it's all about family. And for any of the couples who come and have their wedding here, we really want to make it about them. We're very passionate to making sure that it is about what they want, and having all their family and loved ones here together to enjoy their time and celebrate their special day.
Thank you so much, Amy, for your wisdom and advice. And up next, we will be speaking to the Backdrop Boutique. Hello, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. Well done.
We're getting there. We've had a few challenges. So thank you so much for coming along, Amy. So tell us about yourself, your business, and what you offer. What is the Backdrop Boutique?
Well, I'm Amy. I'm Amy. I own and run the Backdrop Boutique, which is a wedding and events decor hire company across the UK, and we have bases in the Midlands, in London, and in Norfolk, which is where I live. We are mainly known for our backdrops and our flat. Oh, turn that off. Sorry, I'll just decline that. Sorry, for our backdrops and for our centerpieces, and as well as our sort of floral arches, sort of to enhance ceremonies and to enhance the different stages of the wedding day.
Excellent. No, that sounds wonderful. And when a couple wants to book you, what's the process? What, from when they see you on Instagram or website, what do they do next?
It really needs to be an aesthetic that will work with someone like Richard. You know, he's going to spend a long amount of time with you. You're going to meet during your pre-wedding shoots, and he's going to be with different parts of your wedding throughout. I'm a bit more mysterious in that I like to be in and set up your wedding and out of the way. Sorry, it's my sister. And out of the way long before your wedding day starts, and then sneak in at the end or in the early hours and take it all away like it's magic. So it's a really different approach. It's mainly getting to know the couple and what they are looking for in terms of colours, and in terms of, like you were mentioning earlier, their venue, how much decor does it really need? With somewhere like Titchwell, the main star of the show is always going to be the views and the light, which you will always get with such a coastal location. And the fact that the venue is split over several different rooms really does mean that you're not looking into one big huge space at any one time that needs a grand scale of operation. Sometimes smaller touches can have a really classy effect.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you've got a great big huge palatial building, you need decoration in every single room, I'm sure it's going to add up time and work, and on your budget as well.
Absolutely, completely. With somewhere like Titchwell, you know, the weddings that we've done there, like Richard was saying, we had a winter wedding that was losing the light, so it was fantastic they chose a backdrop. It just gave that peace of mind to the bride that they weren't going to run out of time and light and for all of the important group shots. And you really do, having sort of got married a few years ago myself, you do look back at those photos. They are so important. So it's a nice insurance in some ways, but also to frame the aisle with a flower wall or with a blossom arch, something like that, as we'll see, I think, in the wedding video later on. It can just make all the difference. Everything doesn't need to be dressed, but it just adds that beautiful framing, as we can see here.
Yeah, and that leads us nicely on to what are your favourite pieces and the range that you do. I'll move on to our next slide, which shows you some more things that you offer. But tell us about your favourite things that you have.
Yeah, so I am well known for the backdrops, and they are easily my favourite things. I don't have children, but I can't pick favourites, and they are all named. So this is Edith.
I love that they have names, by the way.
You have to, and also my brides and grooms, if anyone sees this who's booked me before, will know they are all, you know, referred to as, oh yeah, she'll be perfect for you, as if, you know, it's very sort of personified. But I think, yeah, neutrals are really, really important, and quite often I'll have couples who are choosing something more bold for their wedding colours, maybe like a mix of blues, and they're really keen to, you know, to have everything going with whatever is their preferred colour, like a periwinkle blue, for example. But I always find that the best thing to do is to try and have a range of colours within that palette, rather than everything matchy. It allows for a kind of softer marrying effect of the palette, and I'm sure it's the similar sort of approach with decoration on a cake, or, you know, with anything like that. So it's not so it's one strong colour, lots of subtle colours that work well together, so that the star of the show is always the bride's dress, the bridesmaid dress, and whatever are the overall colours that the couple have chosen. So it's not green and white, you've got about 7 different shades of greens, creams, ivories and things nicely marrying together.
And that's quite nice, because I imagine, you know, you're never going to get a perfect match from the bridesmaid's dress, the flowers, the backdrop, the chair sash. You're not going to have one universal colour. So to have all these different shades and things is quite nice, with different shades of, you know, purple in the bouquet, in the backdrop, and the bridesmaid's dress. It's going to give it that nice dynamic of different colours, as you say, rather than one block colour.
100%, a soft and a subtle palette, and it won't age, you know, not that there's any particular colours, but if you're going for, I don't know, a couple of years ago, the Pantone colour of the year was a coral. And so you can see, if you went for kind of one coral and everything was this colour, your chair sashes and your bridesmaids, okay, it will all match. But actually, if you choose 7 or 8 different colours softly together and leave that with your florists, who, you know, natural fresh flower florists, or with faux that I work with, it's a bit more timeless, and your photos will thank you for it. And it's a really subtle way to dress the day.
Perfect, excellent. And again, you've touched on this a little bit. Tell us about the different ways you can use your what you provide. So I know that you've mentioned framing the ceremony table, but what other uses are there? I mean, I know that in a picture that we've got on the earlier slide, you've got the couples using it as like a photo booth backdrop. So what else can you use these for?
Yeah, absolutely. So photo backdrop is fantastic, and especially if they're after the ceremony, Richard, your photographer, will whisk you away as your guests are mulling around for your private photos. And I always think a backdrop's a great idea then as something interactive for your guests to be mingling, having their pictures taken. If they've got a second shooter, great, but if not, for selfies, some kind of selfie station or photo pod's a great idea. Lots of interaction between guests that don't know each other can happen really sort of organically there. And obviously all the girls really want to show off their beautiful outfits and everything, so it's fantastic. You know, you end up with millions of shots of lovely flower girls and things as well. But also behind the cake is a really important sort of section of the day, just to frame that, as well as again the aisle. In some venues, the backdrops and other larger things like the huge canopy blossom trees that we use and things like that are used to disguise or to dress certain parts of the venue that you want to distract attention from. It's not really the case at Titchwell. I know Richard's already touched on it. You know, it's a really beautiful venue. There's lots of quirky features to it, and it's just about augmenting what's already there rather than trying to cover anything up. But it's really flexible. Sometimes we'll have amazing brides who just say, I'm not even sure where I want it, I just would love a flower wall.
Yeah, beautiful. If I could cover, like I say, someone just mentioned in the chat, I think Emma, about having the backdrop as a Zoom background.
Yeah.
I would love to have that. I think you could definitely get in the business of, rather than virtual backgrounds, just providing a flower wall background for people on a Zoom call.
Oh, this is my whole house, wall to wall.
I love it. Especially, I love the tropical ones that you've got on your website,
Yeah,
the foliage and things.
Yeah, we do a lot of tropical ones. They tend to be for, you know, corporate events and lots of London brand launches and things like that. But we have had some brides who have just really wanted lots of copper piping accessories, lots of tropical foliage, and maybe industrial lighting and things like that in other venues. And it can really work. Whatever you want can be completely personalised. If you like a wall but you want more of an accent colour, that's fine. I can add that. I hand make some walls as well for clients, so that's an easy fix. And adding something like a neon sign or a Mr. and Mrs. signage, something like that, to just personalise your your backdrop and make it that bit more unique is fine. A Titchwell couple, I know, added fairy lights to theirs just to tie into all the fairy lights that you have in the conservatory roof there, Rebecca and Marcus. And actually it worked really well as the light was lost throughout the day. It just gave another little nice feature at the end of the conservatory where they were having their dancing. So.
Lovely. Yeah, I do love the like the neon lights that you get there, and I'm showing on the slide now the sort of LED love letters and Mr. and Mrs. that you have. We've seen that they're still around, they're still very, very popular.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you find during the wedding day, do you find people use these kind of things?
A lot of it will be about lighting, like Richard said, you know, and seizing the moments for when you will need them and when you have the light and things. But actually, it will just be about when you're able to. So frame the aisle, and then we had a couple with a blossom arch in December, which looked beautiful. We're going to see it again in the wedding video later. And then the arch was moved just to frame their sweetheart table when they had their wedding breakfast. So I like to think that you can augment any part of a wedding day by adding the extra decor, but really it just is all dependent on the couple. And what's great about that is you don't end up with, you know, 200 weddings and everything's the same. Everything's different, everything's personalized, and it's so unique and special to each couple.
Excellent. No, that's yeah, as you say, it depends on the venue, the light, and yeah, what room that you're in. I think like for example, the eating rooms at Titchwell and the bar are quite contemporary, and these love letters or the Mr. and Mrs. will go great in there because they're also equally contemporary.
Yeah.
And then finally, can you tell us your favorite thing about Titchwell Manor Hotel and why?
Well, actually, one of my favorite things is the flexible nature of it. Because it is a series of spaces, it allows you to structure your day. And I think Amy was saying earlier, you know, you can move to the different sections. You have got the terrace, you have got the outside space if you wanted, you know, a marquee. It's completely flexible. It's not one space and decorate the space, and that allows for a really bespoke experience. So that's probably one thing. And because of that nature, there is space to break away, you know, for your granny to go. She can sit and have a quiet cup of tea out on the terrace, for example. That was really important at my wedding. She didn't want to be in with the music and dancing things. And you get the party can be going on somewhere else, so that's really important. But also, you know, it's a small team, it's a really sort of great experience that you'll have with the Titchwell team who are looking after you if you're considering it as your venue. They're really experienced, and because of that and the connections that they have with all of us local suppliers, it's really going to take the stress away from your day, and it becomes just something that is really exciting and really enjoyable to plan. So I'd say probably the experience of the team and the flexible nature of the venue.
Up next, we've got Kelly Southby, who is our videographer. Before we chat to Kelly, we are going to watch a short teaser video from one of the videos that she's done at the venue.
So Penny and Rob, they were due to get married in November last year. They were due to be 80 guests, but with the pandemic and everything going on, they shrunk it down, obviously following all the rules, etc. Then unfortunately, we went into lockdown, so their wedding couldn't take place in November. So eventually, they changed their wedding date to December. We were really flexible with them and obviously worked with them to make sure that we could do what we could to make it still happen. So yeah, they went for 15 guests in the end. They had their ceremony at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can see it's obviously quite dark that time of year as well. And yeah, it was absolutely magical. Really, really beautiful day and evening, and I think they had a fantastic time, and they're actually coming back to us again to have their big party hopefully later this year or into the new year as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about them and their special day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amy. It's nice to know a little bit of backstory about them. And we will now watch their teaser video. It's a short video and we'll watch the full length one later. So let's enjoy Penny and Rob's video.
I'd only give one piece of advice to anyone marrying. We're all quite similar in the end. We all get old and tell the same tales too many times. But try and marry someone kind. Penny is genuinely the kindest person I think I've ever met, and I'm extremely proud to call her my wife.
Oh, there you go. You've got Penny and Rob's video there. His speech is just absolutely adorable. Oh my goodness. And we've got Kelly here with us now.
Hello.
Kelly, hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for hosting us today.
You are very welcome. It's lovely to see you and have you here today. So yes, tell us all about yourself, your experience and your business.
Yeah, so I have been filming weddings since, I think my first one was summer 2016. And I've been doing it full time ever since. It's just the most incredible job, and you know, it's so nice to be able to give people those memories back so they can watch them again, because there are so many little things that happen on a wedding day that you just either you can't remember or you don't even see them in the first place, and it's so lovely to be able to capture that all, put it together, set it to music and give it back to the couple. So yeah,
thank you. No, it's I mean, that was beautiful. It was a nice teaser, and I think just mostly effective was the speech over the top of the video, and it just looked, I mean, I don't know Penny and Rob, I've never met them, but I feel like I know them as I'm watching it. You've captured the personal aspect of them, and it is recreating that personal moment, which is beautiful. So tell us about what you offer in terms of do you have packages? How long are you with them? What do you do on the day?
Okay, so yeah, I offer 2 packages. The first one covers guest arrivals up until the first dance, and I tend to stay sort of an hour or 2 hours after the first dance just to capture a bit of the party in the evening as well. Then the second package is the full day, so that includes the bridal party, getting ready in the morning. And with the benefit of somewhere like Titchwell, you tend to have both the bridal party and the groomsmen getting ready on site, so you can go and get a little bit of both. There's not normally quite as much to do for the men in the morning. There's no hair and makeup, there's no getting elaborate dresses on.
Don't take quite as long as we do.
No. So it's a case of sort of getting the finishing touches with the boys, but being there with the girls, because it's lovely to just be able to tell the full story of the day. So that one, I tend to get to the bridal party about 3 hours before the wedding starts. We cover everything in the morning, so the dress going on, the reveal to the dad, if you're doing that as well, that's always a really nice thing to capture. And we'll see a bit of that in Penny and Rob's wedding film coming up later on, which is really lovely. And yeah, so during the day itself, I tend to just kind of hang around in the background as much as possible and just kind of capture everything as it unfolds. So I don't sort of try and, you know, set up situations, oh, come do this, or, you know, because that's not the wedding day. What you want is everything that happened on the day itself. So I have a very natural approach. I'm very laid back, and I tend to find couples say to me afterwards, oh, a guest said we didn't even realize you had a videographer. And to me, that's a bit of a compliment, because I want to be discreet, because that's when you can get the best shots of people if they don't know they're actually being captured. So yeah, those are my packages. You can either have guest arrivals to first dance, or you can have all of the morning as well through to the first dance. And with your film, so I do a full-length film, which tends to be between 40 minutes and an hour, and that's all set to the music of your choice, because music is such an important thing, and especially on the wedding day itself, you know, you spend ages choosing your entrance music, your exit music, your first dance. So it's so lovely to be able to put those songs back into your film so you can really relive everything that happened on the day. If you have live music, I always capture that too. So, you know, if you have a harpist, like we're going to hear a little bit later, or a live band, I'll always make sure we put some of that in your film as well. And so you get your full-length film. I do normally a 3 to 5 minute highlights film to go with it, which we'll see Penny and Rob's highlights later on. And then also the minute teaser, just so you've got
which is what we've just seen in the teaser.
Yeah.
Nice, excellent. And that takes us nicely onto my next question, which was, what do couples receive from you? Do you get a USB? Is it on Dropbox? What do they get from you afterwards?
So I have these beautiful, I don't have one at the moment, but I have these beautiful walnut wooden boxes.
Oh, wow.
Which are engraved with the couples. They can choose what they want in it. It can be their names, it can be the date of the wedding. And within that, you get a little USB, which matches the box. So it's a walnut USB. And I put everything on there.
Oh, wow. What a lovely keepsake. I didn't know that. That's absolutely lovely. It's better than just being handed a USB. I mean, and then which you will probably lose. I know obviously your wedding video is very precious, but to keep track of a USB. But if it's in this beautiful walnut box that's going to be, you know, in your living room on your mantelpiece, so you're always going to know where it is. And you know, people come over and they're like, oh, what's that? You know, what's going on there? And not only does it a nice keepsake of the day, but then it contains your wedding video. That's such a lovely idea.
Yeah, they're so beautifully made. So yeah, I love something like that.
Oh, excellent, thank you. And how long before a wedding should a couple get in contact with you to book, Kelly?
So, well, at the moment, because of COVID, it's weddings have been all pushed back. So my advice would be, the second you get engaged, start looking, because I've got couples who have pushed their weddings back into 2022, people who are now looking at 2023, which is just bonkers. So I think, you know, you might get lucky with a last minute booking, but at the same time, if you really want to guarantee the suppliers that you like, I would just do it straight away.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I'm sure at the moment everyone's sort of, you know, pushed into a shorter amount of time, so yeah, it's even more important to get your suppliers booked, like our videographer. And you mentioned earlier, we spoke a little bit about the importance of videography, but just tell us why. I mean, if a couple's going to get a photographer, for example, why do you think a video is important as just as much as a photographer?
So it's just a different way of reliving all of the memories. So, you know, you can hear your vows back. Like I was saying before, if there's live music from the day itself, we can include the live music. You can see, you know, the movement of your dress in your first dance. You can rewatch the speeches. There's all, you know, it's just a slightly different way of capturing what happens on the day itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, as you say, the music and things like that. I mean, just like photography, it's capturing the candid shots that I love. I mean, you always do the posed photographs and things like that, which are lovely, but both you and Richard will capture the candid shots, you know, of people laughing, people crying,
Yeah.
and all of those things, which, you know, will make you remember that day. Yeah, especially to video, and as I say, you can then rewatch that back, and it's not like the videos of old. You know, I've seen videos that my grandpa would have taken of weddings, and half of it is the lens cap, some of it's off his shoe, and you know, you don't get a lot going on. But obviously now it's almost like a movie trailer, these teasers that you make leading up to the actual movie itself. And it's nice that you've got the you know, couple of the hour version, the 4-minute version, and the 1-minute version, because you do have people that, you know, that might not sit down and watch the entire thing, but they want to just get a highlight of the day. And I think that's quite nice to be able to send to people after the wedding, like you would like a thank you note or something. You could send your video and say, thanks for coming, you know, this is a little highlight of our day.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think as well, I think the parents and the grandparents like to sit and watch the full-length film because they like to watch the ceremony, like to watch the speeches, whereas sort of friends like to watch the highlights because it's almost like a music video.
Yeah, it is. And especially as you say, tying in the music that they would have had for their wedding, you know, it's their song, and using that again, it's going to give all those emotions back when they're watching it back. A bit like when your wedding photos arrive, you know, when you then press play and watch that video, you get all those emotions back. And I mean, I hear wedding songs that remind me of someone's wedding, and you sort of start to get a bit emotional because it just reminds you back of that day.
Exactly, it just transports you to a different place.
Yeah, it does. And I'd say it's really beautiful, and I love the extra touch of the box, the wooden box with the USB. I think that's absolutely beautiful, and definitely I think very unique. I mean, I don't know any other videographers that offer that kind of service, so I think that really stands you apart in what you offer, Kelly.
I think a lot of people tend to put it all online, so it's digital.
Yeah.
So you have a digital download, but I still like it to be something physical, so I can see here it is.
I think you're right, and as I mentioned earlier, having it in your house, I think it's almost a bit of an anticlimax, sort of getting. I mean, it's the same with, yeah, we have pictures on our phone and they're great, but you know, your wedding, you want an album, you want to look, you want to have your wedding photos, you want to have the USB, you want to put it in, you don't want to, oh, let me log on and it's all, you know, virtual. I think you want
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, thank you so much, Kelly. It was lovely to hear all about you and your services and watch a teaser of your video. And as I mentioned, at the end of the fair, we will be showing the 4-minute version of Penny and Rob's video. You will hear more of his beautiful speech. It's absolutely just adorable talking about Penny. And I also love their little dance, even though it was obviously a micro wedding, they still got their little first dance, which was really cute.
I know. I was like, that was so lovely. Such a lovely touch. I'm so pleased they did it.
Yeah, it just shows. I mean, obviously, we do have some micro weddings booked in this year. Some of you are watching today. Just shows from watching that your wedding can still be beautiful. You can still have these moments, yeah, just mean that, you know, just because you're not having this great big event doesn't mean you're going to not have this wonderful atmosphere. You know, I mean, look how beautiful Penny and Rob's were. It was intimate, it was romantic, and actually I think it was quite nice that it was dark. Actually, it made it a little bit more romantic and yeah, fairy tale and sparkly, and yeah,
It was atmospheric, wasn't it, from the start, really?
Yeah, it really is. It was almost like, you know, starlight, being outside, especially if you can see this picture here on the screen. That is Penny and Rob as well outside. So yeah, it does give you this beautiful aesthetic, even if you are having a small wedding. So beautifully captured. Thank you so much, Kelly.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Kirsty.
Up next, we have got our harpist.
It's lovely. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be here today.
Oh, well, thank you for coming along. It's lovely to have a bit of a mix of suppliers, and I think that after we've had a little chat, we'll listen to some of your music, so people can have enough of listening to me for a minute and listen to your beautiful music, which I'm sure they would all love to do. But firstly, let's ask you about yourself, your experience and your business, Xenia.
Sure. So I've been playing the harp professionally for a very long time, and I started off very much a classical harpist, working with orchestras, and did some film work and some theatre work, and then gradually became more and more involved in weddings and events. And what I love about this is that I can really work with brides and couples to bring their particular flavour of music to enhance the day. And I loved what Kelly and you were talking about, the importance of music, and especially with a micro wedding. I think when you've got a smaller group of people, the music provides a real envelope of warm, romantic atmosphere around the couple and around the day. So yeah, so in answer to your question about the services I provide and my experience, I've gradually developed different playing lists, if you like. So everything from the traditional wedding tunes through to things like Ed Sheeran and Rag and Bone Man and Beyonce.
Wow.
I really love the challenge of arranging people's special requests for the harp. So I can provide music at any point during the day. Sometimes people ask me to put music together for the wedding ceremony itself, so I'll play while guests arrive. So in Titchwell, for example, I'd be playing in the conservatory or outside while guests gather, and then play the music for walking down the aisle and any incidental music, signing the register, and then walking out at the end. And that works equally well inside or outside. Then I can move the harp wherever you need me to go to play during the drinks reception and photographs. And again, I can move to play during the wedding breakfast. As I say, sometimes people want one part of that, sometimes they want the whole day. And I can also bring other musicians with me, so I don't just play solo. Harp solo works really well. But yeah, I can play with cellists and violinists and make it a bit sort of funky or more folky or jazzy, and just sort of try and create the mood that my couple are looking for.
Oh, it definitely sounds very lots of dynamic, lots of ideas. So you can move around, you can play outside, is that right, Xenia?
I can. I mean, obviously, if it's a force 8 gale and it's raining, then it's not
Well,
very
yeah, maybe not. We don't want the harp to blow over.
Otherwise, absolutely. The sound travels really well. And several years, Eric has arranged the wonderful Titchwell Fete, and I've played outside for that. And the sound goes really beautifully around the garden. So it's a real pleasure to play outside.
But it creates a very magical atmosphere having the harp there, because obviously it's such a magical, romantic instrument and sound. And it's nice that you can bring other musicians into play. That creates different moods as well. You know, as you say, cellists and things like that. That's quite cool that you can mix it up, so you can have something, you know, quite somber and romantic for the ceremony, and then bring in some other musicians for a different vibe for the meal, for example.
Exactly. And the thing is that it's that the harp, I think people, until they hear a harp, people have got very sort of set preconceptions about where very airy fairy sitting in the corner. And in fact, the harp can be really jazzy and funky. And as I say, you can play Beyonce and all sorts of upbeat tunes on it. So it's what's lovely is seeing people experience the harp for the first time and how surprised they are. And people quite often come up to me and say, you know, they'd never heard a harp being played on its own before. So it looks beautiful and it's different. It's very different. Yet it can play music that everybody will recognise and love.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I went to a wedding a couple of years ago, and again, bringing my Disney fanatic in, they had Disney music on the harp, and to anyone else, it was just lovely, beautiful music. But for the Disney fans, we were like, I know that song.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice to have. And that leads on to one of my questions, Xenia. What you mentioned Beyonce and Sheeran. What has anyone ever requested you to play anything unusual or alternative?
Well, you just made me think of there was one guy who wanted to have the grandstand theme. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was a sports program. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? It went da 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 da.
Oh yes, I know it. Yeah, yeah.
So what I did was I made an arrangement so it sounded to begin with like a really demure waltz and dance, and then I gradually put it up tempo. And as I could watch the people's reactions, because I was sitting facing the guests, obviously, for the ceremony, and it was so funny to see them just roaring with laughter at realizing that this romantic moment had been turned into a humorous and sort of not ice breaking, because there wasn't any ice, but that thing of, you know, there can be some nervousness around the ceremony. It's such a big day, and that just completely dispelled it all, and everyone was smiling and nudging each other and whispering to each other. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that's really nice to say. Everyone's a bit nervous, and also coming into the ceremony, different families don't really know each other. They might not have met the other side, and then you've got that, you know, sort of, as you say, a bit of an icebreaker. That everyone's talking about, as you say, nudging, whispering, oh, I know that song.
Exactly.
It's just something different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that I really enjoy working with my couples is including music that's really special to different guests and to different members of the family. So I always work to create a wish list, and that is precisely that. It's, you know, a tune included for an aunt, or to remember somebody who's not there, or for a little member of the congregation, maybe a 3-year-old who loves Disney, or that's that.
So you're 28 and you love Disney.
You love Disney, absolutely. No, Disney tunes are very popular, and things like Beauty and the Beast, they're so romantic and so loved by everybody. So you're in good company.
Oh, good. Oh, well, that's good to know. And that leads on to my other question of, what is the most requested or popular song that they ask you to play?
That's a really good question, and I've been racking my brains to think across time what that's been. And there is one. Well, in fact, there are 2 tunes which are consistently asked for, simply because they're so timeless, and they're just associated with that whole sort of ritual of getting married, the ceremony of getting married. So one is the canon in D, Pachelbel canon in D.
I was going to mention that one. I love that music. It's stunning.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And it sounds very different on the harp, and you can make it faster or slower according to what your couple want. So it's very versatile in that sense, even though it's a piece of music everybody knows. And also 1,000 Years.
That's a popular one.
It's really popular, and it doesn't lose its popularity, even though people don't really talk about the films much anymore. There's something about those words and the tune that really captures that sense of we're committing to each other for life. This is the first day of a new life together, and it's really beautiful. And I think that those 2 consistently get requested.
I'm sorry.
I will never get tired of playing them either, because they are beautiful pieces of music.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially 1,000 Years, which is that Christina Perri.
Yeah.
I've heard that quite a long time, especially being in the wedding industry. However many brides I've seen walk down the aisle with music, that is a lot. That music comes up a lot, and you think I'd get bored, but actually every time it plays, it reminds me, oh, actually, I do love this song. Oh, actually, that's really beautiful. Rather than, I don't get fed up of it. Same with Canon and D. That to me is just wedding. That is just the wedding song, rather than the wedding march. In those cheesy films. But I love that song, and I think if you've got a song as a couple, and it's maybe, as you say, a little bit more alternative, whether it's from a film or Beyonce, but you don't want to be walking down the aisle to anything too edgy or rocky or something, then the harp is a nice way to make it more sophisticated, I would say. I had a wedding once that went down the aisle to the death march from Star Wars, the Stormtroopers march.
That's quite intense.
But it was on the harp and it sounded amazing. So I think if you've got a song in mind, brides and grooms, and you think, oh, I don't think we could play that for the wedding, ask Xenia to put it on the harp, and I guarantee it will probably sound great.
Thank you.
And just before we ask you to play some music, Xenia, what is your favourite thing about Titchwell Manor Hotel, and why?
It's what other people have talked about. It's the fact that there are so many beautiful spaces in Titchwell, both inside and outside, and that coupled with the wonderful team just make it the perfect place for me. I think it's got everything you'd possibly want. Fantastic food, beautiful scenery around, lovely inside spaces which are really thoughtfully designed with the comfort of guests in mind, and it's just that personal touch which you can't beat.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. And I think especially us meeting all of these suppliers as well brings that personal touch back. So when these brides and grooms get in touch with you and our other suppliers, they already know you, they've met you, they've heard you, and I think that brings that quite nicely into Titchwell and the service that we offer. So thank you, Xenia, and we've got a few minutes now, and we can all kick back, relax, and let's listen to Xenia play her beautiful harp.
Thank you, Kirsty. So I'm going to do a sort of a little medley of pieces and see if you can recognise them. So I'm going to play for about 6 minutes. Is that right?
Yes, we've got 6 minutes. Absolutely perfect, spot on. so much, Xenia. That was absolutely stunning.
You're welcome. It was fun for me. I love it. I've really missed playing in front of people, so it's so lovely to be here today. And I'm always really happy to answer questions. For me, there is no such thing as a silly question or a daft question. No. So if anyone wants to ask me anything, either now or any point.
Yeah, please do. I think the only comments I've got goosebumps, fields of gold, love it from Jola, beautiful from Kat, how good did Get Lucky sound, which I recognised and was like, oh my God, what is that? So thank you to Amy for mentioning what that was. But it just shows how you can take a popular 21st century dance anthem and pop it on the harp, and it just sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you. Somebody asked for that to walk down the aisle to at the end of their wedding, and I just thought, yeah, I mean, it's a really upbeat, happy, uplifting tune.
It's just beautiful. So thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have got our owner and chef of Titchwell Manor. We have got Eric. Are you there, Eric?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good. Thanks so much for popping on, and we'll be having a chat to us about all things food. So do tell us about yourself and Titchwell, Eric.
Yeah, so a little bit of background about the hotel. I think we're in our 33rd year on the North Norfolk coast now. So I'm not quite that old. So when we bought the hotel, I was 8 and grew up there. So as you can imagine, the hotel, it's more than just work for us. It's it just feels like sort of part of my identity, to be honest. It's quite strange, and actually having weddings at the hotel is one of the most amazing things about having a hotel. I got married there, my sister did, my 2 sister-in-laws. We've had happy times, and then people have had funeral wakes there, and it's the memories that are entwined in the business. Often people will say, would you consider selling, and it just wouldn't seem possible, really. So my mum and dad used to be heavily involved, and I sort of came back as the chef, and I was head chef for about 15 years. And then about 6 years ago, they deserved a bit of a rest, bless them. Slogging away for 26 years. So they started sort of trying to retire and step back. And it made sense for me to do a bit more than just the kitchen, and had to look at running the whole business, and at the same time opened some businesses elsewhere. There's Eric's Fish and Chips, which opened 3 restaurants, and Eric's Pizza that we opened last year. So now I oversee the whole operation, which I really like and really fits well for me. But a bit more wedding specific. I mean, it was my mum who used to manage all the weddings. So it would be me and her meeting couples from the very start, and not that much has changed really. Like from those early days, we would sit down and actually just say, like, what are you looking for? What's your what feel and style do you see for your sort of really special day? And for me, I really like getting excited by events and actually feeling like it's something that I'm passionate about and excited by it. And the best way I get that is when it's bespoke. If it's someone saying we want certain ideas, and we've had it's simple things like one couple, one was from Lincolnshire and one was from Norfolk, and they really wanted to marry those little quirks of the different food, and using certain Lincolnshire ingredients that would give the event identity to them. And I find if it's bespoke like that, I get excited about trying to create a unique menu, which we all get behind and really enjoy delivering.
It sounds, definitely the personal touch, which you know, your mum's obviously passed on, and you've passed on to the team, you know, as all of these suppliers have very graciously said that that is their favourite thing about Titchwell, is the personal and bespoke service that we offer. So thank you for the bit of history there. Tell us a little bit about how that personal touch goes into the food, and how couples can decide on a menu for their wedding.
So we've tried to sort of give a bit of a guide as well now. So we do have example menus and menus people can choose from. I've found, like, over the years, some people are quite clear what they're looking for. Others sort of sit down and just go, yeah, talk to me. That's almost like more difficult, I think. So we found actually having some guidance with menus helps, and with images, people can actually get a feel for it. Others have a very clear vision, and I'll usually sort of work through them, work with them to sort of create that in a way that will work for 80 people, and we can deliver you know, really good product at the end of the day. And sometimes I think couples, obviously they're not chefs, so they're not aware of what's going to work and what's not going to work, so they often need a little bit of guidance to deliver what they want, really. I think it's quite important. You do have to think about the operation of getting 100 hot meals out quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
sort of thought process.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of comments. These food pics are making me hungry. I can highly recommend Eric's menus and the local produce. And Kelly, I still rave about the dishes Eric created for Penny and Rob's wedding. They were delicious. Tell us a little bit about simple ideas to achieve that special feel for couples for their wedding menu.
Like for me, sort of the wedding is almost like a really, really good party where you're inviting sort of 100 of your best friends and family. And like, I sort of realized this on the build up to our wedding. I was like, this is incredible. We're going to have like everyone there that I like, and they're all going to hang out together. And this is like, what a great opportunity. So I sort of tend to look at it a bit like that. Let's make it a really exciting party that is memorable. I think one really easy one is to have magnums instead of normal bottles. It's something like, for me, having a magnum of champagne or magnum of Prosecco or even red wine, it always has a real sort of feel like this is a special event. And essentially there's no extra cost. So that's always a bit of a no-brainer for me. I think, like, if I go to an event and you're getting poured champagne out of a big magnum, it's really good fun and it's memorable. I think canapes is a really good opportunity to, I think sometimes people look at a 3-course meal, and the canapes can get cut out for budget, whereas I'd say really focusing on that 1-2 hours that you could have, having more elaborate canapes. We've done some really interesting things where, like, one of the pictures there is like a green olive rocket and lemon foam, and we go around sort of doing that in front of people. The other canapes you can see in the picture now, we've got like oyster arancini served in the oyster shells. We did little crab donuts, and I think that's an opportunity for people to get really excited about the whole day ahead. You know, they've just watched their best friends or, you know, really good friends get married. They're excited. They want to chat. They want to drink. Like most weddings I go to, you're sort of like, at that point, you're desperate to get a few drinks down and really catch up with loads of people. So that's sort of, I would say, really focus on that area and set a standard for the whole day.
Yeah, it does get people, it's their first, no pun intended, first taste of what's to come.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the canapes, they're going thinking, oh gosh, this is amazing, I wonder what's in store for us for the meal. And just looking at these images, I mean, how beautifully presented these are. And as you say, taking something, you know, like crab or something, and to make it into a donut. I mean, it's just a unique twist on a favorite, and especially your coastal influences, you know, fish and chips especially, but oysters and crab as well, which is really nice.
And a real simple thing is doing like an oyster bar or having like a piece of ham out there being carved, and we try and mix it up so there's almost little things to see along. There's not just sort of, a lot of people have been to a few weddings, and I think everyone generally wants something that's memorable, and they want to sort of have a unique day where everyone, you know, talks about it and remembers the whole event. So we usually, like for canapes, I always think it's quite good to have some classics, like some nice vol au vents done well, but then go quite modern with other things, with foams and different bits, just to sort of capture people's attention, so they're not just sort of turning around and shoving it in the face.
Yeah, it's definitely your standard, I don't know, cocktail sausage, or, you know, a bit of cheese on the cracker. You know, these
it's nice,
sophisticated dishes. Just to touch a little bit on dietary requirements, Eric, you know, especially at the moment, we've definitely got a lot more guests that are vegan and vegetarian, and then of course you've got celiacs and, you know, dairy free. What is the process for those couples choosing dishes for their guests with those requirements?
Yeah, I think that goes alongside any concerns about individual guests and their sort of it can just be like people really simple taste. I think that's come up so often where
picky eaters.
People are really worried about sort of Uncle John because he only eats sausages, so they're looking to have like sausage and mash for their meal. And we always approach that, we'll just like pick out individual people rather than you know, focus a meal to look after sort of a handful of people. So we're always happy to do individual dishes for certain people. That's no problem. As far as dietary, I like to do the individual again, like I've just said, but tie it in as much as possible with the main dish. I think I sort of get that if you're vegetarian or you know, any issues that you've got, or not issues, issue is the wrong word, but yeah, if you're a vegetarian, then you just get like the vegetarian option, and it's way off what everyone else is having. It's really disappointing. So in the restaurant, I've often tried to look at that. If someone's celiac, it's an opportunity to give them a really good meal and exceed their expectations. So so like that lamb dish you can see there, we would try and recreate a similar dish. So if it was a vegetarian, we'd do a vegetarian dish with hazelnut and peas, and develop it from there. I think we've actually done that before and done like a pea risotto with like halloumi fried on top, and
making me very hungry.
Yeah, well, just carrying it so it feels like it's been thought about, rather than, I think
you don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can feel like the afterthought, which is quite sad. So
yeah, I do. I mean, I've done, you know, weddings before at other venues, and, you know, people that have a dietary or they're vegetarian, you know, they just get stuck with, you know, an aubergine to eat.
Yeah, like garlic.
They've not been thought about, or it's just some bland, flavourless, you know, soup or something. And desserts as well. There's not a lot of options for people for desserts, and I think it's nice that they're treated as, you know, an important wedding guest, because you are, rather than, as you say, an afterthought and you know, sticking out like a sore thumb. You know, it's like when you've got people that don't necessarily drink alcohol and they've got an orange juice, you know, everyone then knows that you've got orange juice. Whereas now, you know, you've got sparkling elderflower, and you've got these non-alcoholic wines and things. So you don't need to sort of stand out as having a difference. You know, as you say, you can emulate the food that everyone's got, but with your requirement enveloped.
Yeah, and I think we've had a few couples where we've done a vegetarian starter, everyone's having that, and then you make sure the desserts.
I love vegetarian food.
Yeah.
Someone's commented, Claire, I've had vegan meals a few times at Titchwell and they're always ace. So thank you, Claire. But I do, I mean, not just environmentally wise, cutting down on meat, but I think you get a lot more flavour in a lot of the vegetarian dishes than you might in a meat dish. So I'm all
Funny
for
that when we used to be doing tasting menus, often the vegetarian course was one that would be talked about the most. It was, I think, again, like this, I always like sort of exceeding expectations, and I'm keen to do sort of simple menus, but then really deliver something different. And like that lamb dish, there's a picture there, we could just cook, you know, like Norfolk lamb, pea and mint with hazelnut or something. And if you're having that as I think I've done that as a wedding meal. That was one of the first I did, I think, when we used to do outside catering. And it's really simple flavors, familiar flavors, which would suit, you know, all sort of, whether you've got foodies there or, you know, your granny's there that likes lamb. Really easy to eat. And it, I think that's a really good formula for wedding menus. Try and get some like familiar flavors, but deliver it with some skill and a little bit of interest to create something a little more memorable.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect point to end on, is familiar flavours and dishes, but provided in a unique and beautiful way. So thank you so much, Eric. It was lovely to talk to you about food. Hopefully we're not all too hungry, but just to make you drool even more, up next we have got cakes. And we have got Beth Haxby Cakes. Okay, hello Beth. Hi.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Yes, how are you guys?
Yeah, we're all good. Is everyone else okay that's watching? Hopefully, yeah, as I say, we're all drooling over food, and now we can just drool over cake.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, exactly, it's a feast for everybody. So thanks so much for coming on, Beth. Tell us all about yourself, your experience and your business.
Yeah, sure. So I've been baking since I was 16, so for a long time now, but I only made it into an actual business 3 years ago. So I started doing sort of celebration cakes to begin with, but then I quickly found that wedding cakes was where my sort of passion lied, with baking and with cakes. So been doing wedding cakes for sort of 2 years now, just over 2 years now, and I love it. Yes.
It's beautiful. I mean, I've worked in the industry for a long time. I've seen lots of cake makers and suppliers, but your designs are phenomenal. And if you guys who haven't seen Beth's designs, just you wait, they are amazing. So tell us a bit about just the different things that you offer, you know, tiers, buttercream, fondant, materials. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I specialise in buttercream finish cakes. So I find with buttercream cakes that they have, I prefer the taste of buttercream as a finish on a cake. It's not as heavy as fondant, and I find with kind of designing cakes and using buttercream, it's a lot more kind of versatile for me. I do, as you can see in the middle picture on the slideshow, I do quite a lot of like buttercream piped flowers with my designs, so that works really well for me with buttercream. So yeah, that's kind of my speciality. And then I quite like to be sort of quite artistic with the designs, a bit different. So yeah, hopefully that kind of comes across when people go on my website and kind of Instagram and stuff, you know, it's just something a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, you know, a variation. I mean, you know, just looking on this slide, you've got, you know, sort of sweet and simple. You know, you've got the sort of natural raw elements here, you know, with the sort of pampas grass, the semi-naked over here, which works well. And I love cake, I love all sweet things, but you're right about buttercream. Fondant, I feel that that's the part of the cake that a lot of people leave on their plate after eating the cake. And I was that kid that would go around eating the fondant. A lot of people do leave that bit, and I think buttercream, yeah, you can never have enough buttercream.
Yeah, exactly.
And I definitely get how versatile it is. I mean, just look at these cakes, everybody. I mean, I when trying to choose some pictures to put on here, I literally could not narrow them down. They are stunning. So yeah, you can definitely offer a range of different things for people. So tell us about that process with a couple comes to you, they would like you to do their wedding cake. What's the process? Designing, tasting?
Yeah, sure. So generally speaking, people will kind of initially send over a few ideas of what they've got in mind with their wedding cake. So that can be in the form of like a Pinterest board, or sometimes it will just be, you know, through email, just saying, you know, this is the kind of style our wedding is, etc. So then I'll tend to kind of go away and come up with a design or like 2 or 3 sort of ideas, and then we'll kind of go from there, usually telephone consultations with kind of images to refer to. And then as part of booking a wedding cake with me, you get a complimentary sample box delivered to your home. So that contains my top 5 wedding cake flavours. So that kind of helps the couple decide which flavours they'd like to go for. So if you're having a 3-tier wedding cake, you can have a different cake flavour for each tier. So yeah, so that kind of helps people decide. And my full flavour list is on my website. So I think I've got about 25 different cake flavours now. So quite a few to choose from. So
what are the sort of most popular flavours that people tend to go for?
Oh, I would say, yeah, it's quite a hard one, but I would say the top 3 are probably zesty lemon and raspberry. That seems to be a kind of all-round crowd pleaser, that one, especially for weddings. It's quite light and refreshing. If you've had a 3-course meal with a dessert, sometimes it's nicer to have the more kind of light flavours, not so heavy. Carrot cake with cream cheese is another really popular one. And then recently, I would say pistachio and strawberry has been a real, that's been a real popular one. I think, again, it's not too sweet, it's not too heavy, and it's quite nice having that nutty pistachio flavour coming through. So yeah, I'd say they're my top 3 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, lemon is definitely my favorite flavour cake, and I think, as you say, you've had a big meal, you've been drinking, and you know, I'm not to say that lemon cake is a palate cleanser of sorts, but it kind of is. It's like it's if you say you want to have the cake, but it looks very filling, but lemon's quite light, and it's same with your you know, the pistachio and strawberry as well. And carrot cake doesn't have carrot cake, you know, you could be 40, whatever, everyone loves the carrot cake. We've just had a question from somebody. Oh, you haven't got your name listed, so sorry, I don't know who you are. They've asked, can you put buttercream on any type of cake, e.g. a sponge or a biscuit cake, or does some suit fondant better?
So you can put buttercream on any kind of sponge cake. That's absolutely fine. Not biscuits though, if that's, yeah. So are you talking about kind of the biscuits that you would get as like maybe little next to the cake, like decorated biscuits? Yeah. Those kind of biscuits do tend to be fondant on top, which is absolutely fine. I do use fondant to sometimes make decorations for cookies and cupcakes, that kind of thing, where I need to like print a design or initials or something like that on. That's absolutely fine, but I just wouldn't ever finish a wedding cake with fondant all over kind of thing, that would be buttercream. And it's I actually use Swiss meringue buttercream, not American buttercream. So it's actually initially it's meringue, and then you slowly incorporate the butter into it, so it's a really silky, smooth, quite a light buttercream. It's not as heavy as American buttercream.
Yes, I would imagine that the Americans would make their buttercream very heavy and thick. And, yeah, I could imagine. So I hope that's answered your question, who commented. If not, then Beth's contact details are on the screen. Maybe pop her an email if you want some more clarification on that. So how long before a wedding should a couple contact you, Beth, about their cake?
I mean, I have my diary open for the kind of remainder of the year and the following year. So I will, as all wedding suppliers will say, you know, the sooner the better, because we do get booked up quite far in advance. People obviously plan their weddings quite far in advance. So I'm, you know, for 2022, my peak months are getting fully booked now. For next year already. So yeah, I would honestly just say the earlier the better. I would say the average is probably a year to a year and a half in advance I get approached, but I mean sometimes I can fit a cake in 6 months prior. It's just all down to my availability and if it's peak season, that sort of thing.
Of course. No, that's great to know.
Yeah.
And just maybe out of my curiosity, I don't know if anyone feels the same. Some of these cakes, obviously I know everyone's different. How long does it take you to create a masterpiece like one of these?
Oh, well, if it's a wedding cake, like a 3-tier wedding cake, I would say you're looking at, just purely for the actual baking and decorating the cake, probably 2 days for a 3-tier wedding cake. That's obviously not including kind of all the admin side, delivering the cake or any of that. It's purely just the baking and decorating the cake, I would say is 2 days for a wedding cake. Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So intricate as well.
What's that?
So it looks so intricate, the design.
Oh yeah.
This one here. Yeah.
It's funny because I think people think they take forever, my kind of floral designs, but once you get going with piping flowers and you're quite confident with it, you can actually sort of do it all quite quickly.
You're in the groove.
As long as yeah.
Oh, that's always wanted to know. But,
yeah.
And what is the most popular requested trend for wedding cakes this year and next year, if they're different?
I would say at the moment, having separated tiers instead of kind of your traditional stacked 3-tier cakes. A big trend at the moment is having kind of the unstacked cakes, a bit like the royal wedding where they had the kind of 3 separate cakes. So that's really popular at the moment. For me, my floral piped cakes are very popular. I think just because they're something a bit different, a bit unique. Like a lot of people have been asking for the piped flower cakes for next year especially, so I'm excited for those ones, and I can adapt the kind of colours to the colour scheme of the wedding day, so that just works quite nicely. So that's another popular one.
Excellent. Yeah, it's always good to know, to say where the trends come from. As you say, the royal wedding with the sort of the cakes apart just shows that you know, it takes a couple of years for these trends to come on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the semi-naked cakes have been around for quite some time, even though, you know, and people still like them now just because it's kind of quite a classic. And you can add your wedding day flowers to the semi-naked cake to kind of bring the, you know, the floral sort of element to it. And they are still very popular semi-naked cakes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people do still love the rustic theme, and I think they go quite well, don't they, the semi-naked?
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And final question for you, Beth, what is your favourite thing about Titchwell Manor and why?
I would say I love the interiors at Titchwell Manor. Whenever I come in, I love looking around. I think they've finished it really beautifully. And I love how the proximity to the beach, how close it is to the beach. I just think all the pictures from any weddings that I've had at Titchwell are always just so beautiful. Like there's so much natural light, especially where the weddings kind of take place towards the back. It's just, yeah, the photos always look stunning.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Beth. It was lovely to have you.
Thank
And
you.
I think we all just want to be eating your cakes right now. But thanks so much for coming on. It was great to speak to you.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
And up next, we have got Georgia Rae, who's going to be talking to us about her hair and makeup services. Hi, Georgia.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
So before we have a chat with Georgia, we're going to have a little look at her beautiful studio. Just tell us, whereabouts is your studio located, Georgia?
In Dersingham, so it's actually attached to the front of my house, purpose-built studio for providing our makeup services. So yeah, not far from Titchwell.
Lovely. So let's have a look at Georgia's studio.
Welcome to the studio for Georgia Rae Makeup Artistry. Here we offer makeup for all occasions and specialise in bridal makeup. Whatever you come to the studio for, we ensure you have a 5-star experience and luxury service. We have pop-up clinics offering teeth whitening, Botox, fillers, and much, much more to come. If you're interested in a career in makeup, we have fully accredited training courses coming soon. For more information, please visit us on our Facebook page, Instagram and website at georgiarae.co.uk. We can't wait to see you in the studio soon.
So your studio, just while we're on the subject, when would brides come to your studio? For their trial or?
Yep, so they'd come for their trial, absolutely. And I recommend a trial around 8 to 12 weeks before their wedding day. You can have trials sooner than that if you would like, but ideally by kind of going about 8 to 12 weeks, your skin, your hair is going to be in the closest sort of same condition or tone as it would be on your wedding day. So it's better to work with your skin and your hair at that stage. And also because your ideas and your vision can change so much leading up to your wedding, that you don't want to be having a trial too soon because it gets closer to the wedding day and you've changed your mind about actually what you want and what your vision is.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to have a drastic haircut in between your trial and your wedding day because that's going to be quite different. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Georgia, your experience and your business.
Okay, so I've been within the beauty industry for just over 17 years now. Started off working in salons and spas, specialising in skincare, which took me on to management of a health spa, and then into teaching beauty therapy and makeup at college in Norwich. And then after having children, I actually started working for myself, just part-time, which led me into kind of the bridal industry, which seemed to kind of naturally progress there. Just doing that part-time, but over the last few years that's progressed on to now being full-time, and that's really where my passion lies. So now providing bridal services, makeup, and also now introduced the last year hairstyling as well, because I was asked for that service so much, it seemed a bit of a no-brainer just to add that in and be able to provide that full preparation package for my brides. And it makes it easier for the brides as well, just to have to deal with one supplier for their preparations rather than having to go between, hairstylist and a makeup artist.
Yeah, it must be nice to, not only do you have only one body in your room getting ready rather than multiple hairdressers, makeup artists, getting ready, but yeah, coming in, you get to know everybody. You've got the bridal party, and yeah, the whole mix, hair, makeup, all by yourself.
Our team is growing now as well because we have become so busy. We're growing a fantastic pro team. So even if I'm not personally available for the date, I have now got a team that I can provide you, which will still give the same high standard that you would expect and deserve as a bride. And also means I've got a great team to assist me if you have got a large bridal party. We can make sure we can cover that as well.
Yes, that's true. That's one of my questions actually, is what order do you tend to do if you've got the bride, the maid of honor, mother of the bride, mother of the groom? What order do you tend to go in for their hair and makeup?
So ideally we would start with someone like the maid of honor or mother of the bride, generally because they're needed a bit later on in the morning to run those errands, do those jobs. So the bride can really relax and enjoy her morning instead of having to greet people and get herself sort of flustered and stressed. So she can sit and relax and be having her hair and makeup done. So maid of honor, mother of the bride, get them done early so they can be on hand to help for the rest of the morning. The bride we tend to do sort of second from last. So hair and makeup is as fresh as possible, although hair and makeup is going to last all day and evening anyway, but obviously you want to be done, you know, freshly before you're about to walk down the aisle.
That's when they're most emotional as well, when they're getting ready, I suppose, too.
Absolutely. So second from last, because if we do you last, it kind of can be a little bit of pressure as you're kind of clock watching and time's ticking.
Oh, I don't know whether we lost you a little bit there, Georgia.
Oh, have you lost me?
I might have lost you a little bit. Sorry, just go back a couple of sentences for us.
So can you still hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Unstable.
Yeah, we've got you.
So yes, so second from last for the bride. So you've got plenty of time to be ready, time to get into your dress, enjoy having those, you know, photographs and having a glass of bubbly before you leave to walk down the aisle as well. Yeah, so that's kind of the order of the morning, and we are there right until you do leave to go and walk down the aisle to meet your groom, to make sure you are perfectly flawless, hair and makeup. So we're there to do any touch-ups that are required before you leave.
I bet there are some touch-ups of, you know, bit of tears and, you know, all of that, or if you've got your dress on and your hair and all of that lot, I bet those touch-ups are very necessary before you're about to go down the aisle. So that's really great. I know it's a question that a lot of people tend to ask. Obviously you do your hairstyling now, as you mentioned. Got a couple of pictures here. We'll talk about hair first. What tends to be the most popular sort of style do people go for? Updos, down? What's the most popular at the moment?
At the moment, I'm getting a lot of requests for the half updo hairstyles. So it's really loose, relaxed, that kind of tousled look. People are not seeming to want anything too, you know, tight or sleek. It's more the relaxed boho kind of vibe that people are going for at the moment.
Yeah, no, I understand that. You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be having your hair thrown back and it's uncomfortable for the day. But then, of course, if it's down and flowing, you've got to make sure that it's, you know, going to hold for the whole day. So the up down, half up, half down works quite nicely. It's kind of a happy medium.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of off your face, but you've still got that. You know.
Yeah, and makeup wise, I mean, I'm sure it's probably natural, please. But you know, what tends to be the most requested thing that people ask of you for their makeup? Is it just natural?
Brides differ so much with their makeup. I mean, my favorite makeup to do and my specialist area is the more natural and soft glam looks. Some good examples that you've kind of got there, really. But you know, I cater for all makeup styles, so whatever it is you want, obviously I can provide that. And leading up to your trial, I do provide you with a Pinterest board and a questionnaire to get an idea of all the styles and makeup looks that you like. And obviously I get to know you as well as a bride, to get to know your personality and what's going to suit you. And lots of things are taken into consideration with the makeup, you know, including eye colour, skin tone, and say your personality, you know, the whole style and theme of your wedding as well. But yes, most people want to be just a flawless, polished version of themselves. You know, a lot of people don't wear makeup, so they don't want to be walking down the aisle to their groom looking like somebody completely different. They still want to look like them, but we're obviously there to make you look like the most flawless, beautiful version of you, so you feel really confident walking down the aisle.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. As you say, skin tone is most important. And I will just mention that, and you mentioned previously that you are very experienced and knowledgeable in skincare as well, which I imagine is very important when it then comes to doing makeup, you know, factoring in skin type and things like that. So what, tell us, what products do you use? I'm sure every makeup artist has their favourite. So what do you use, Georgia?
So I will only use the best products, a very high-end range of products. One of my favourite brands is Charlotte Tilbury, creating beautiful flawless makeup with beautiful pigments in the colours. Other ranges such as Bobbi Brown, Laura Mercier, Benefit. So yeah, lots of different ranges. I don't just stick to one product range, but I do also include vegan makeup and skincare within my kit as well, to make sure I do cater for everybody. So anyone that is vegan, I can cover that as well.
Oh, that's really great to know. It's something I didn't even think about. So that's really, really great to know. And leads kind of nicely onto a question you've probably asked a lot at the moment is, how are you keeping your clients safe with COVID? With, for example, your brushes and things like that.
So health, safety and hygiene has always been a huge part of the beauty industry, something we're very hot on anyway. But yeah, even more so obviously with COVID. So brushes are no longer just, you know, washed between each client. They have a whole separate brush set for each client, each member of the bridal party. So there's no crossing over there at all. All the products, all the equipment, the whole workstation areas are sanitized between each person. And that includes my studio as well, which is well ventilated and cleaned between each person that comes. Obviously hand washing very regularly between each client. And I wear full PPE as well. So, you know, face mask, visor, and if necessary, gloves, apron as well, if that's required. But yeah, so we do take that very, very seriously.
Yeah, it's a whole new way of doing things, I'm sure. But it's just for people's peace of mind that, you know, you've not got to worry about booking a makeup artist, thinking for a special day. You know, I think, oh, I've got to do it myself because of COVID. You know, Georgia obviously takes all the precautions necessary to keep you all safe. Tell us your top hair and or makeup tip for brides and their bridal party.
So I will give you a top makeup one. So it's look after your skin. There is no time too soon to start caring for your skin, ready for your wedding makeup. Makeup is amazing at hiding a multitude of things. It is incredible. But unless your skin is well looked after, it can show through. So making sure you've got a good skincare routine day, evening and morning. Drinking plenty of water, so keeping hydrated, having a good balanced diet, all these things have an effect and impact on our skin. And having regular facials is another great way to look after them, especially leading up to the wedding. And having a really lovely, smoothing, hydrating facial around 2 weeks before the wedding day will make sure your skin is in tip-top condition for that flawless makeup.
Oh, that's a really good tip. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something, me personally, I'm only sort of the last couple of months getting into a routine. But anyone out there that is concerned about their skincare ahead of their wedding, by participating in the wedding fair, Georgia is offering free skincare consultations via Zoom. So if you've got any concerns ahead of your wedding, then Georgia can book you in for a skincare consultation, which is fab. And that is, yeah, just very, very, very useful to know. I think we're all getting better educated about our skin, but Georgia will be the perfect person to tell you about your skin type. So thank you, Georgia. And one last question, your favourite thing about Titchwell Manor Hotel and why?
So it's been mentioned already, but absolutely the intimate feel, the intimate venue that it is. I love how it, the intimate separate sections you've got, the whole family vibe of it, the fact that it's on a beautiful North Norfolk coastline. And the extra thing for me working as a makeup artist, the rooms are such light, airy rooms. They're great for me when it comes to actually working in there as well. So lovely, fresh, light rooms.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, obviously natural light is the best for doing your hair and makeup, and yeah, Titchwell has so many beautiful light and airy rooms. nice and large too. I mean, we can recommend the best rooms to get ready in with your bridal party, so a bit bigger as well, so that Georgia and her team have as much space to get you all ready for the day. So thank you so much, Georgia. It was lovely to have you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we've got a bit of a question break. Someone Emma's asked us about our 2-day takeover package. So we offer very bespoke services at Titchwell, but one of the things that suits the venue very well is exclusive use. And I think especially now more than ever, when we've sacrificed so much over the last year or so, is being with our friends and family, and one day just isn't enough. And I think 2 days is going to be, I think, a new trend for weddings. I mean, you do have some venues that offer a couple of days so that you've got time to set up and take down. Well, Titchwell will do all of that for you and give you those 2 days to just spend with your friends and family, especially if they're traveling from far, you've not seen them in a while, and you can really make the most of your wedding. I mean, you're only going to hopefully do it once, so I think make the most of it. And just to give you a very brief rundown of what that would include, you know, your guests can arrive on the first day, be greeted with a bespoke cocktail, before they then maybe check out the local area, head down to the beach, before an informal buffet in the evening, perhaps some grazing boards created by the chefs. Everyone retires to bed. Obviously, it's exclusive use, so you've got all the accommodation to yourselves. Wake up in the next morning, get Georgia and her team in, get all your hair and makeup done, make yourselves look all glam, and before the big day and the wedding day itself. And then obviously you've got your ceremony, your wedding breakfast, your evening party before guests then stay overnight again. Wake up, have a nice big full breakfast before everyone heads home. So again, Amy mentioned earlier the importance of maybe having a dinner before the wedding, just to spend more time with those family members you might not have a chance to talk to during the wedding. So that is our 2-day Titchwell takeover package. So if you want any more details or a quotation, then get in contact with me. Another question from Tony: how far in advance do we need to book rooms for the night prior to the wedding, would you recommend, Kirsty and Amy? So maybe I will pop to Amy for this one.
So yeah, with your accommodation, it's a really good idea if you definitely know guests want to stay the night before, book in as quick as you can. Obviously the day of the wedding itself, you're tied to the room, so you're going to have all the rooms for that. But yeah, as soon as you know anyone who wants to stay, let us know so we can get that booked in, and you will obviously get first choice on the rooms then. If you leave it too late, you risk obviously that some of the rooms that you may wanted won't be available anymore. So it's really important that definitely getting those booked in early. And yeah, just letting us know if people have got requirements for the rooms as well. So our accommodation, we've obviously got some interconnecting rooms, we've got the hot tub rooms, and a lot of our rooms are family rooms as well, so they can accommodate extra beds and things like that. And we also have a few of the dog friendly rooms, so we always love weddings when little 4-legged friends come along as well. So if you need a room with dog friendly access and things, then yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Amy. We've got another question from Claire. At the other end of the spectrum, will the tiny intimate wedding still be a thing post-COVID lockdown guest limits? But I think they will be. I'm still getting inquiries for small weddings next year. And we are, because we are flexible at Titchwell, we are more than happy to create an intimate wedding package for you. We've got some great ones for this year: an afternoon tea package, and a 3-course meal package with a cheese board to finish. So we've got a host of ideas, and I think it will be a thing next year. I think just because people want to spend their wedding day with the small intimate family, I think come stay for a few days, have an intimate dinner or lunch, with your family, and then stay overnight, have a mini moon of it. So I think that's a great idea. We've got one more question. Would love some examples of evening food ideas. What would you enjoy creating, Eric, and what goes down well with the guests?
I think evening food really lends itself to more casual stuff and trying to be a bit fun with it. We've often done, well, a lot of people quite like the mini fish and chips, or we did some like little gourmet hot dogs, little sort of burger sliders people have liked. I think it always works really nice to have a combination of maybe a cheese table with like if you want, you could go cured meats and stuff on as well. I think as far as guests, it's nice to have somewhere to go get some food if you're suddenly getting so drunk that you need to eat, basically.
True.
And I've been there.
Alcohol of the evening.
Yeah, and I need to go make a quick sandwich. So like I generally recommend you have sort of a cheese table that's there all night. People can go and graze whenever they want. But then it's really nice to have, say, just some big trays of really cool little hot dogs with interesting sort of quite gourmet finishes on them, just to come out in sort of random hits. And again, just hit people when they're not expecting it. They're sort of getting drunk, having fun, having a dance, and then it's like, right, now have some of this. And it's all sort of just a fun way of doing it, I think. And then if you've got something that's a memory or something that can be unique to yourself, we can do that. Like, if you traveled or worked in Asia or something and you wanted to have Thai influences or something like that, you could do that. You could do little bao buns. That'd be really good fun. Yeah, I think like you want something that's you don't want to be too fancy. I think you want to go something that's real sort of comfort food but delivered in a cool way.
Thank you so much, Eric. I think we should finish with Penny and Rob's video by Kelly Southby. So here is the 4-minute version of the teaser that we saw earlier, and we get to hear Rob's most beautiful speech.
Right, as father of the bride, it's my duty, honour and privilege to give the first speech. I would like to begin by welcoming you all and thank you for coming to this special occasion to celebrate the marriage of my beautiful daughter Penelope to Rob. Penelope is a wonderful daughter. She's very caring, kind, hard-working and a loving person, which has always given us so much pride, joy and happiness. She is a perfect young lady and I'm proud as I watch her marry a wonderful man. And I'm confident that she and Rob are about to embark on a journey filled with love and happiness.
So Penny, my wife. Which feels an utterly bizarre thing to say. And I think everyone agree you look just truly stunning today. If I think back to the first time I saw you in the corridors of PA, I need to pinch myself to believe you're now my wife. It only feels like yesterday that I was a giddy consultant, nudging my fellow engineering geeks as Penny strutted her way through the open plan office to get her daily coffee. And after a few knowing glances in the office, I ultimately plucked up the courage and emailed her. Romance isn't dead, but the rest, as they say, is history. I'd only give one piece of advice to anyone marrying. We're all quite similar in the end. We all get old and tell the same tales too many times. But try and marry someone kind. And it's safe to say, I think I did okay on that point. Penny is genuinely the kindest person I think I've ever met, and I'm extremely proud to call her my wife. Which leads me to my final and most important toast, to Penny. To Penny.